Hello again, students. I just want to follow up on yesterday's video posting and talk to you about how we're going to modify the 06 assignment a little bit. And in my example here, I'm also incorporating the 08 assignment. So it's not like you will do it again, but I am including it here because I want to show kind of how it fits. So let me show you real quick what I've done. The first thing I have is 4 items on a page all by itself, and then we'll start with, filling in the rest of the information. But the 4 items I want to talk about are your research topic and your research question. Now, those two things are the same thing. It's just a different way of phrasing the topic that you are going to be working on for your research. And the reason I want you to do that, the textbook kept referring to one or the other. Sometimes you have a question, sometimes you have a topic. What I really want you to understand is how to switch between the two. I want you to know how to talk about your subject as if it's a topic, or how to talk about it as if it's a question. The other thing I want to point out to you is that I want you to be careful about your questions, because your research paper is not going to solve a problem, nor is it going to answer a question. It is going to present a balanced view, or as balanced as you can get it, of multiple perspectives on a topic, and I need you to identify the topic so that I can help you down this path. So research topic and research question are the first two. The third one is key search terms. And the reason I want you to do this is because I might can help you as you're searching for materials if you start to struggle. This sometimes is the hardest thing to know how to do, especially if you are seeking information about a topic that you are not used to reading about. So you may not know what the academic language that is used to address the topic is, and I might can help you with it. If I can't, I know who to go to. The university library, the people there can be so helpful with things like these. There's a couple of things they can help you with, and I think all you have to do is call them or contact them via email, or sometimes there's a chat window open, and that's cool. And you just type up something quick that says, I'm working on a project in a class where I have to write a research paper. I believe I've identified an article that would be helpful to my research, but I can't seem to find it in the library. Can you help me with this? A query like that to the librarians, oh my gosh, they love that stuff. They'd be happy to jump in and try to help. At least that's what my experience has been with it. You can also ask me. It's just, I have a full-time day job, so I may be slower at responding to it. I may be quicker, who knows, but I suggest you try the library because they are a great resource. All right, so key search terms, it's that thing of knowing how to Google your topic, and I would like to see what you're trying to use to search. The disciplines is the last one, and I want you to tell me what 3 or 4 disciplines you have identified for your paper, and as you will see from my example, that can change, especially after you start doing some research. I am actually going to assume that my example project, that the disciplines have a strong chance, one of them at least, of changing. All right, on the next part, I'll go ahead and show it to you, be kind of like it was on 06. I want you to identify each of your research sources and fill out a little bit of information about each of them. I do want a full citation, and as I talked about in yesterday's video, that will help me help you. If I can't find the work, I can't help you work your way through it. I can't correct mistakes. I can't reference it for you. I can't even help you build your bibliography properly. So I do want a full citation here, APA format. We will be working on that. I will be providing information on how to do that and do it well in the next few weeks. The next thing is thesis. This was on the original 06 assignment as well, and I need you to know how to do this. This one is important. Some of the other items, not so much, but this one's very important. I want you to tell me one sentence. So whenever you find a research paper that you're going to use in your citation, I want you to find one sentence in it that tells me what the article is about. That is kind of a twofold process. Not only does it help me to dig into your article, it will help you to really clearly recognize what it is that article is providing to you as a researcher. So one sentence quoted with a citation for your thesis statement. An assumption is something that when you read their paper, or you read parts of their paper, you can see that they are expressing views that are typical of their discipline. So I'll show you an example in a few minutes, and you'll get to try some of these yourself. And then the last one is the method. Now, this is not the method you're going to use, because you are doing a straightforward analysis. That is your method. You're not going to do a survey. You're not going to review old historical documents. You're not going to do all of those different kinds of things you can do, interviewing people and observing them with some item. That is not the purpose of your research project right now, so you don't need to do it for your paper. What you do need to be aware of and try to identify is the method used by the research that you're citing. Now, your book gives you, let me see if I put it in the footnotes. Yes. Page 159 and 160 of your textbook provides a list of typical methods, and then in the following pages it goes on to show examples that use even other choices. So the list is just a place to start, but I really want you to try to fill out the methods. So that's the 4 things you're going to give me on each of the resources that you identify. So again, this first page is an overview of your topic, and the second page will start with your resources. All right, let's do some work. My example. I told you that the best way I think that I can figure out what you're going through and best help you with your project is if I go through a project as well. Don't think this is brand new for me. I often do this. It helps me in a lot of ways to understand what the students are struggling with. And then I find sometimes I struggle with answering questions that the book asks, and I'm thinking if I can't figure it out, then I should not expect my undergraduate students to do so. So it kind of keeps me within some really good boundaries. But here's my topic. I have never been to the ODU campus, so I don't know what it's like, but I'm very familiar with the University of Houston campus. One of the problems that they have is parking. You have to walk. I don't care when you come or when you go. You always have to park a long way away, and you have to walk long distances, often really long distances, to get from your vehicle to your classroom and back. For those of us that attend night classes, whether teaching or attending, that can be problematic. Walking to a remote area of a parking lot late at night can be disconcerting. And the University of Houston actually has a bit of a crime problem. If somebody is going to be attacked, we don't have serious crimes here, but theft is a big one, especially of cell phones, tablets, computers, that kind of thing. If a criminal sees a student walking alone and believes they have that kind of technology on them, it's a quick, grab and run kind of thing. So those are often happen. So my idea is, what if we were to use drones, surveillance drones, that would follow students to their cars at night? Now, an unmanned drone will not stop crime from happening. I mean, it has no way to be defensible, to take any action, or even to notify the authorities quick enough for them to get there and stop the crime. What it does serve as, this is my theory, I haven't done my research yet. My theory is that it will serve as a deterrent. There are a lot of things like the use of CCTV in the United Kingdom is very much a deterrent to crime because criminals know that they can be successful at the criminal activity, but that they have a good chance of being caught later because everything that happens is captured on tape and nobody wants to have to deal with that. So it could serve as a deterrent. That's my theory, and that's what I'm going with. So my research topic, I have decided that I need to state that as a topic sentence. So I'm going to say using surveillance drones to escort students to their parked cars after hours specifically, or even generally, as a safety measure. Okay, this is the topic of my paper. I'm not saying I propose that we invest in using drone technology for crime deterrence. I am saying I would like to research this as a topic and just present the idea of using surveillance drones for this purpose. Now I want to think about how to ask a question. Using that same terminology, how would I phrase it as a question? Again, I don't want to say something like, should the University of Houston? Okay, that makes it very narrow, and it asks the reader to make a decision. That is not what I want to do. I'm trying to create or provide an unbiased report, so instead I want to ask a question that does not suggest that there is a one and only answer. My question could be this: would the use of surveillance drones to escort students to their parked cars after hours be an effective crime deterrent? By asking it in this method, in this phrasing, I am asking somebody to consider an idea, not to solve a problem, not to answer a question, but just to consider an idea. Would the use of drones to escort students be an effective crime deterrent? That's what I'd like to focus on. Now remember, as I do my research, maybe I'll find that there is way too much information on this topic. It's already been solved. In that case, I'll either adjust my topic or go with a totally different topic. The other thing that can happen is that there be no information whatsoever. If I can find no research to build on, I would be kind of a sitting duck in this process as well, and would not want to have that happen. Now I'm going to guess that drones are a relatively modern topic that is popular, so I don't think that will happen, but it's possible. Now my search terms, I am going to look for, you guessed it, surveillance drones. Remember, it took me a while to think of that. I knew that I wanted to use a drone, and I'm thinking unmanned drone, but whenever I thought about the term surveillance, I think, oh my gosh, I think that's the proper term to use. So that's what I'm going to use as I search for literature on this topic, for published reports or books. The other one I thought about using is campus parking lot safety. I might take that back later and try just parking lot safety. I don't know, but I'm going to go ahead and use that. That'll be one I've tried to use now. And the other one I want to use, again, I'm going to start with campus and see if that sticks, but I'm going to use campus crime. Now I think those are related, but I'm not sure that's going to cover all my disciplines, but it's a start. That's what I wanted for this exercise. I just want you and me in helping you to get a start. All right, so the disciplines. The first discipline I want to use is one that has to do with the drones themselves. So it may be computer related, it may be computer science, I'm not sure, it may be technology, I don't know, but for now I'm going to call it aeronautics. I'm going to go ahead and make a note. The next one I'm going to put on my list is law, because I think we're going to get into some questions about privacy rights. Maybe people don't want drones following them as they walk around in the parking lot late at night. Think it's going to be kind of one of those issues that really has a lot of two-sided arguments, so it may be a great one for me to include in my paper. If I find that it's too controversial, I may step back from that. We'll just have to see as we go. And then I'm going to go with psychology. Again, it's like, what do people think about, how do they feel about having a drone follow them around? Will they get a sense of safety from the fact that they know they're being watched, or will it disturb them? Will it frighten them or bother them that they are being followed to their car by this innate material or this machine? I don't know. All right, so that is the very first step, and that's what I would like to see from all of you. Just a simple fill it out so that you and I both can agree that this is a good topic for you to pursue, and that we can both work on helping you fill in any gaps that you come across. I'm not going to assign this yet. You'll see it. I'll send out an email when I actually assign it. But it will just be answering these 4 questions or filling in these 4 sections of the paper. All right, the next thing I want to do is go down and tell you what I want from you from the resources. Okay, now this section I think I'm going to actually delete. This is the I may stick it back again later. That is your exercise from 08 workshop, and I'm not sure. We'll see how it fits in as we go. All right, so the first thing I want to do is identify one of my resources, and I will let you know that I've downloaded several papers that I think may apply, but I've read only one of them, or I've actually not read the entire thing. I've skimmed through one of them, and so that's the one I'm going to start with. The citation I got for it, well, let me pull it down and show the paper to you. Let's see if we can get it here in the window. It is from the Hastings Law Journal. Oh, that's helpful. Now I know which discipline this is going to come at the topic from. I believe it's going to be a legal standpoint. But let's see. The title of the article is Policing the Police, Balancing the Right to Privacy, there's the legal side, against the beneficial use of drone technology, which is the other side of my argument. Can this be useful? Can this be a viable potential solution? So maybe this has a couple of my interdisciplines already related in it, already established in here. And again, I'm going to show you that the first thing I do in a paper is look through the abstract, which is the first paragraph that you see, and anything that I find in here that I really think might be useful to me, I can go ahead and highlight. Again, I'm going to look here for that thesis statement that I mentioned earlier, but I think I looked through here before and didn't find it on this page. The next thing I'm going to do is kind of scroll through. All right, they have a table of contents, which I don't want you to have in your papers. There is an introduction. There are, let's see, yeah, they use sections and subsections. You can if you want to, but only if it helps clarify your paper. I would not suggest you use sections and subsections for your papers because they're just not going to be that long and detailed. They use a lot of these footnotes that cannot be APA format because we don't use that. Then when I get to the very end, let's see. Well, let me go just jump all the way to the end. I think they have maybe some. Nope, I don't see. Okay. I was looking for a bibliography at the end. Sometimes that is really helpful because it could point me to other articles. But instead, this one, the bibliography is found in the footnotes. So I would have to look through the paper to see if there's anything I want to see. But you can see that in the conclusion, I have already highlighted some of the things that I think I might use. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this off to the side again, so that I can show you how I'm going to fill out these sections. The first thing is the citation. I can either go to Google Scholar, I can go to the place where I got the article. Sometimes the library does it. There's a lot of places that I can use to find a good citation. I can even use something called a citation machine. It's just a website where you type in a lot of information and it generates the citation for you. I happen to pull this one down from Google Scholar, so the citation that it provided was pretty darn accurate. So I'm going to just type it in here. The author is Bentley, and I think her name is Jennifer, but we only use initials in APA formatting. And then next comes the year, in parentheses, whoops, and then there's a period. All right, because this is a journal article, the next thing that happens is I get the title of the article. And there's a specific way to do this. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and highlight and copy from Google Scholar and paste it in here, because I want to show you that there are some drawbacks with using that. I can see right now that this citation in the proper APA format is actually erroneous. I know for a fact, and you will too after a few weeks, that whenever I am citing an article, the first letter of the first word is capitalized, but not the rest. And then the first word following a colon is capitalized, but not the rest. So I'm going to go ahead and make these adjustments now, because the more work I do on having this ready to go here, the easier it will be for me to just toss it in my paper when it's written, and I can count on the fact that it's done correctly. All right, there we go. Just the first words are capitalized. The next thing that happens is there's a period, and then the name of the journal or the book title or wherever it comes from, but this one is a journal, and it's the Hastings Law Journal, and a typical way to abbreviate it is Hastings LJ or Hastings Law J, and then it is from issue 70, and sometimes there is a part that's in parentheses after that, but I don't have it here, no problem. And then the page numbers, 249 to 296, and I may have to go look that up, but I believe that gets pages. I'll double check that whenever I'm getting ready to put this into my paper. But there we go. I have just put my citation in for my paper. And whenever you submit this to me, that makes it easy for me to go out and find your paper, check your resources, check your facts, give you some feedback. So this is so important to the people that are going to read your paper, but also to me so that I can work with you on this. The next thing I did was look through the paper and try to find one sentence that I thought talked about what the paper is all about. And here's the one sentence that I found. Individuals must look to the government to provide firm laws which balance the beneficial uses of drone technology against the weighty privacy interests at stake. And then I went ahead and included here that was found on page 295, because when I use it in my paper, if I use this quote in my paper, I need that. Now, if I use this quote in my paper, the inline citation will have Bentley, comma, 2018, comma, page 295. But because I've already created the full citation here and everything below this is going to refer to that one citation, I don't need to do that here. So I just want you to be aware that this is not proper for your research paper. It's only proper when you only have one citation, which is true here. So I think that's a very good thesis. I mean, I read through, like I said, I read through both the introduction, the abstract, and the conclusion, and found that one sentence and thought, you know what, that is exactly the one sentence that talks about what this article covers, and especially it relates to my research. So it's the perfect thesis statement. Now comes the trickier one, assumptions. These are the views that the author has that kind of relate to their discipline. So here we are talking about a legal discipline because this was printed in a law journal. But remember, there was another kind of reference in there that indicated that the paper that I'm citing, this Bentley paper, may be interdisciplinary on its own. So I actually have identified two assumptions. You'll notice that I did not put this one in quotes. That's because it is my paraphrasing. This is my wording for what I read on page 249. Utilizing drone capabilities pose concerns for privacy rights activists. Okay, so this says one side of the coin. People can have concerns about actually using this in any beneficial way. And then the second one that I made note of says the kind of the other side of the coin. And it says, allowing the use of drones by law enforcement, and then I have some quotes because I wanted to get the fact that I used their wording, not mine. Quote, before, during, and after large-scale events, close quote, will increase public safety without intruding into areas protected by the Constitution. Again, page 2, or another reference to page 295. Here my point is, I actually included the piece in the quotes because I wanted to remind myself that this was not talking about, this article was not talking about parking lot surveillance. It was talking about large-scale events. So it's kind of a different area. So I want to make sure that I'm careful that I don't say in my paper, Bentley, proposes that we use drone technology to monitor parking lots. That would be misleading. It's not true. Bentley never mentions parking lots in her paper. And then the last thing I'm going to do here is just put a note, and that is that the two assumptions provide the primary area of conflict for this article, because the article that I'm using is going to be similar to mine in the way that it's presented, is they are presenting two sides of a case. The value of drone technology for surveillance versus the concerns over privacy rights. So I want to make sure that I recognize that that's a valuable piece of that article, so I just include it as a note. The last thing is a method. Again, you can refer to the textbook and get all kinds of ideas about what this is. Sometimes there will be surveys, sometimes there will be observations. You are trying to identify what method this research paper that you are referring to used. The research paper I am referring to is very much like the one that I am writing. It did not have any experimentation, observation, any surveys, anything like that. What it had is a critical analysis, and then I'm going to go ahead and put, I think, of documented materials. And this is my reminder that the article that I'm using actually was an analysis of some legal terminology and probably some case studies. It was not a case study itself. It was simply a critical analysis. Again, I will help you with this. If you struggle with it, I'll make some suggestions if I see that you have problems. But I did want you to understand this is kind of the way it works. In the next video, I'll go on and do another resource and another resource and another resource. I'll go ahead and continue this process, and as I think of things that I think might be helpful, I'll add them on here. And I'm thinking I will have you submit this like one little piece at a time. The first piece would be the page 1. The second piece would be give me one solid resource, so that you and I can both begin working on this. If you have all 5, 6, 7 of them ready to go, fine, fill them out. If you're prepared to move forward, especially if you did all of this in exercise 06 and feel like you did it well, well, by all means, copy and paste it here. Add the few items that are missing and we'll move forward. But this will be a much better document for me to work with you to ensure 2 things. 1, that you've chosen something that is truly interdisciplinary and can probably be researched well. And number 2, that you don't get left behind, that you're building the blocks as we move along instead of trying to wait until the end of the semester and put this all together in a solid paper. By doing these steps out in front of your paper writing, you will be well prepared to write the paragraphs when the time comes, because you will have solid information, background information, great references, and a good understanding of the materials that you are working with before you try crafting an argument or an informative piece. I hope this was helpful, and I am sure that you will hear from me again soon as we take another step in this process. Thanks so much.